Hello, it's Nicole Marshall here to talk about Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas was born in Italy in 1225, and he became a great philosopher and theologian of this thought of Scholasticism. Aquinas was ordained in Cologne, where he taught theology under St. Albert the Great. St. Albert the Great realized Aquinas' greatness. Around this time, the works of Aristotle had become available to the Latin West again, and Albert the Great was the foremost teacher of Aristotle's thought. But it would soon be that Aquinas was the foremost promoter of Aristotle's work in support of Christianity. Aquinas' philosophy on teaching is relatively easy to glean because he was a teacher for 20 years. First and foremost, he declared teaching as possible by man, not just by God. At first he was concerned because, as in Matthew 28:3, Jesus says, "But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all students." Aquinas was originally concerned with, can humans teach? But Aquinas reasoned that in order to learn, there has to be activity on the part of the learner and the teacher, and that teachers can present learners with new ideas and things to consider and lead them to conclusions that the learner might not otherwise draw on their own. So teaching can happen. Another philosophy of his on teaching is that teaching occurs only when learning occurs. Like Aristotle, Aquinas believes teaching only occurs as learning occurs because something is a cause only insofar as it has an effect. So learning is only happening as long as someone is learning something because the teacher is teaching it. Another philosophy of his is teachers must give great attention to logic and the truth. This is all evident in the detail and rigor with which he wrote his works and lived his life. Another theory is learners should learn from as many people as possible. Aquinas showed us this by including ideas of many great thinkers in his work, even if he disagreed with them. He believed that by noting what he said against what someone might say against him, and by explaining the objections, was the best way to teach or to learn. Another theory is teachers should recognize their dependence on God for the good they do as teachers. Aquinas believed that teachers should take pride in their work, since they share in the work of God, but they also must stay aware of their need of his assistance, of God's assistance. And then the final theory, at least in my opinion, or the opinion of those that I read, is that the best teaching of all, the best content of all to teach, is Christ's teaching. So there you have it. The critiques say that attempts to use Aristotle's primary matter as a Christian worldview left people wanting a better explanation in the way to account for human survival after death. They thought that was insufficient. And many find trouble in his explanation of God. Critics were saying that the essence of God was exactly the same as the existence of God. That's not exactly what he was saying. He was essentially saying not what God is, but what God is not. And like all of philosophy, it's very deep. But there's no doubt that Aquinas was a man that he probably contributed the greatest worldview of Christianity of any of the philosophers. And I agree with Davies. The naysayers can quiet down and let's let's go with this thought that we've had for 800 years and praise our Saint Thomas Aquinas. Thank you.